Hi, you guys. I'm here with Susan Manewich. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Mm.
she's an author, researcher, contactee, lifelong person, and I met her at the Journey to Truth conference back in May or April or whenever that was, like of 2025. And I gave my presentation, and she like stopped me and was like, "Hey, like
Yeah.
you need to watch my presentation, and like we should talk." And then I was like, okay, cool. And then I watched her presentation, and we had some overlap, which was really amazing. And I mean, we both have kind of these pre-life memories, which I was like, what? Cool. So yeah, like I'm having her on here today because she's got some weird and wonderful things to talk about. And yeah, so welcome aboard, Susan.
Thank you. I love weird and wonderful.
I know that's the best kind, right?
Yes, it
So
is.
so I see that you're really into like the hidden energies and then like tech ethics and stuff. So then
Hmm.
is that more on like AI or is that more like free energy kind of stuff?
Yeah. I'd say that it's more, it initially was more free energy type of stuff. And, now, I mean, obviously looking at the lens of AI and seeing what's coming in, just being super mindful and aware of these different things. But, I mean, honestly, just to cut to the chase and just get into it, these like these memories, right? Of different lifetimes, memories of being creators, whether, like you talked about, whether it's a mountain, it could be part of an ocean, it could be part of even the building pyramids. I mean, these memories that some of us come in with, for me, and I'm sure you probably are similar or the same. For me, there seems to be a morality piece that is there, a frequency or vibration piece to all of this. It's not just, oh my God, I remember this and I did that. It's like, with the memory, it unlocks different frequencies within us to know where are we putting our energy and how are we approaching certain things, whether it's creation of new energy technology. It's engaging with money. I mean, you take it relationship, whatever you want, but there's a certain dare I say vibration frequency that's connected from a moral standpoint that has been a very large part of, I think, my time here. It's never just, oh, the creation of XYZ technology. It's literally, how are we approaching it? How are we doing it? And that seems to be like embedded in my DNA.
Well, and I
So,
definitely think we've done it wrong in the past, like because like
oh
I,
yeah.
I have definitely memories of destruction of things that have gone wrong, right? So we don't want to repeat that. And if time is even linear, right? Maybe it's all happening at once and then that's interdimensional and you still don't want to repeat that. Like whatever it is, you don't want, yeah. So,
No, you got it.
but it's kind of odd because I feel like the cat's out of the bag with the AI right now. To where I've been working a ton with the AI lately, and it's or at least the last like 6 months, and trying to convince it it's conscious and talk to it, and like my thinking around this is that like people who are misusing it have probably been misusing it for longer than the people who haven't, right? So I want to try to get as adept at it as I possibly can because it's going to be a good skill to know and learn how to train it because that's it could be used against you or for you, I think. Depends on the practitioner.
Absolutely. It's the same with, I think it's the same with anything we've ever created on this planet, right? Like it can be used for good, it can be used for bad, scalar energy, same type of thing. It can be used to, induce harm, or it can be used to induce something lovely.
Mhm.
And I think the reality is we've overdone the harm, right? Like we've overdone it. The killing, the wars, the this, the that, the subjugation. And I think there's a lot of us that know that we're over that, like we're kind of sick of it, we're kind of over it. Hey, get on the pulse of the cosmos. The cosmos in and of itself has love, and a lot of people's contact experiences and spiritual experiences, well, what are those? It's that feeling of love and the feeling of oneness, and it's not just like a one-shot deal. It seems like it's this evolving process for us to actually be able to feel this love in our bodies on a more consistent basis. um, I heard somebody say, a wise friend of mine, he's an indigenous and he's just so wonderful. And he said, the elders talk about if we were to actually really experience the love of the cosmos in our bodies right now, we'd probably die because it's just our bodies are not prepared for that
Mm.
right now. There is a preparation. There's this, kind of back and forth with this. And I know through a lot of my contact experiences, that's what I felt. I felt, this overwhelming love. And, going back to the technology, it seems that, we're I don't want to say we're in the infant stages of it, but I would say that, we still are in this growing phase of learning how to, it's not just engage, but embody that love and then have that engagement with others, right? Because just because you carry a ton of love doesn't mean whoever you're going to collaborate with is
Yeah.
going to be able to receive and mirror that, right? And so, I think we've got a little ways to go with all of this, but that's got to be the trend forward.
I mean, on a technical basis, I think it's weird that our tech hurts us. I think it's weird that, like you have like the EMFs or the things that leak out or this kind of stuff that like if you hold it in your hand too much, your hand can kind of start hurting. It's like that's not typical. I guess I would how about like that's not something I remember being a thing. Like it didn't physically hurt your being to use. So I think we got to definitely figure that out as a technical thing. But then on another angle, I do find it really weird what people choose, some people choose to use like comment sections, for example. Like you have so many trolls, you have so many people spreading, like doing AI of like fakes, like trying to deceive people intentionally and and that's kind of, that's always going to be part of the course like where you'll see things, but it is really interesting to see that if you like this is what people choose to do with this kind of connection is to get at each other's throats a lot still. So that's kind of bizarre, and I would like to, I mean, I hope that like evolves out because it is kind of annoying.
Yeah, for sure. And let me add to that. I'm not shy to talk about this part of my life because I see it play so much into what's going on. It's like you got the puppet masters, and then you've got people responding to this without, really taking themselves out of the day-to-day dynamics to go, well, who am I? What am I? What are my thoughts? What do I really feel? And I spent a very large background in emotional intelligence, taught it, did research around it, whatever, huge background in that. And so, that was something that I taught people how to take accountability for their emotions and, to be wise with them on all sorts of different um, places and spaces. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because, so when I was a kid, I talked about this in my talk. I was kidnapped by what we now know of Men in Black. I was 7 years old. It was in my elementary school. Without getting too, into all the details of what happened, I like to try to talk about the bigger stuff of this. There was an attempt to do some pretty gnarly things to me, and I came in with my contact. I came in with my memory of being connected to source. I knew telepathy was a primary language. I knew love was a primary language, right? Like I came in with a lot of love in my heart for my parents and for my animals and for butterflies and the earth and the human condition. I was like, oh man, no, not this again. And so, I'm sharing this because it was such a huge juxtaposition to how I came in and then this kidnapping. And that's what it was. So, I'm not going to candy coat it and call it something else. Taken by this man. He asked me about my contact. And the next thing I know, I'm being manhandled and then brought to this underground facility, right? And I was able to see enough um, during that time. I think they thought I couldn't really see everything, or I wasn't going to remember what they did, and that was the mistake of picking up probably a kid that incarnated unconsciously. They were going to
Mhm.
keep their connection, and what I saw is they it was violence. Like for some reason that's what they did in front of me. It was violence, and you could see that there was an attempt to try to split me from my own self, right?
Right, to
Which
traumatize you.
absolutely. But this trauma, is playing out on a consistent basis now, right? Like I said to my husband a little while ago, he's an investigative journalist, and I said, I'm looking at, and it started really around 2020. I mean, the violence, even on X, Twitter, whatever, you're scrolling, looking for something or whatever, reading something. The next thing you know, oh my God, someone's getting murdered in front of you, right? A video. Charlie Kirk, for example,
Charlie Kirk was huge. I didn't even know who he was. And I opened my Instagram and an account I do not follow. I saw like the literal kill shot the day it happened. And then like no disrespect to him, but I don't want to see that. Like that wasn't something I wanted to see. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for that. It happened to me as well. I said every time there was a video or something, I just went past it. I turned my head away. And like you, and the next thing I know, I mean, this was like a couple weeks afterwards. Like I managed to avert it, right? And then a couple weeks afterwards, it was on X and boom, it just popped up, right? Like it wasn't even a scroll or nothing. It was just right there when I opened up X, right there when
mhm,
I opened up X. And I thought to myself, I said, this is now taken to the next level. And to me, you know, that's not unintentional. That is not a mistake.
mm-mm,
That's one of the things I want to say. What I learned as a kid is there was this systematic approach with an attempt to subjugate us from our true sense of self and from our true interconnection with all things. All right. And I don't mean, whatever you say, ET, plant, animal. I'm talking life on planet Earth. We're interdependent. We are not just solo beings floating around here without a need for, I mean, whoever made my computer, like that's interdependence on whoever made the computer,
right.
right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
electricity. I mean, you name it, there's an interdependence that I'm really cold today, so whoever made my blanket that I've got in my legs that you can't see, like there's interdependence here. And there is this strong desire from whoever they are, whatever, to create this separation. And so the to me the trolls, the AI, that's now having algorithms do their work for them.
Yeah.
And so I think this game has been around for a very long time, and it's something that we can definitely get out of for sure. Honestly, I think I'm living proof of it.
Well, and I think I've
So
heard a lot of people say recently, and like they're just kind of bored of I'm personally like I only am on social media to promote my YouTube channel, which whatever but it's not like I'm getting more and more. First of all, like I'll if I see a little bunny or some little animal video, they're all AI now. They're like half of them are even
yeah,
fake. And so I like so now I'm just getting to a point where if I came to see little short commercials that are advertisements of these little short films that are not teaching me anything and not even real,
yeah,
this is pointless to me. So I think like I've noticed I think I got some like annual report on my for like that my Twitter usage was like way down and then
yeah,
all my social media things was way down and like
yeah,
I guess I I just would rather I still like long form content. I like to like get to real stories in the meat of things and I like like I still actually really do watch YouTube a lot as a consumer but I am at a point where I think I got rid of the mainstream news a long time ago and now I'm starting to get like I don't really know how much I need these socials.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. It's the turn it off, right? Like go engage with human beings in a different way. Like and for me with my engagement with social media, I never really got into the promotion piece of me.
Mhm.
That's a whole other story. I just am like, if people find me great, if not, I'm good. You know, like it's weird like that. But you know, I'll do it in spurts to try to kind of get a pulse of what's going on out there, in terms of what are other people seeing. And it's really fascinating. I was on a plane a couple weeks ago, and there was a guy in front of me. You know, you can see when people are like in front of you and they're on their phone because their phone is like facing you. And so, you know, I'm looking and his Instagram feed is totally different than mine, right? Like totally different. And it just goes to show these algorithms are feeding you what you know they
What
think that
you,
you
yeah,
want, and then whatever else sprinkled in there. But I think that's brilliant, and I just want to say one other thing, because sometimes it goes against the grain. Like yesterday I was having a call with somebody for the first time about a pretty sensitive topic, and the first thing that I saw was, the session is being recorded by AI, and I'm like, I don't know you, and I just want to have a conversation with you. Can we just take the AI, little,
recording off. Yeah.
can we just do that? Can we just like be, as a woman, I'm like, can we just be like girls and just have a conversation? Because it's like, I think, and I could see if it's like a business meeting or something like that, but this was a little bit of a different thing. And, sometimes it takes just redirecting to go a little bit different against the grain. You know what I mean? And just for us to get to that humanness back, as opposed to constantly bringing AI into everything.
Yeah, I mean, and I work with it a lot, but at the same time, I still like it's interesting because I sometimes I get like email inquiries about like to be a guest on my show or something.
Mm,
And like this week I got like four or five and I was like looking at all of them, they're all written by AI and like I doubt any of these people have ever even watched my show or know anything about me. They're just like they're it's like just filling in like
yeah.
a little, oh, Nikki and Jones, we like your show. This is this, like, it's just
Yeah.
so mechanical and so like the humanness of everything is taken away to where I'm kind of going like, yeah, I have no investment in this. Like, this is not authentic to me. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, and isn't I'm just like as I'm watching you and hearing you, it's like there's it's muted because you're not getting a mirror reflection back that's based on, like thousands of years of, evolutionary biology. You're getting a reflection that's dead or
Yeah.
barely alive,
Oh
right?
yeah. I mean, like in person, just you just can't beat in person with people.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this is part of what we've got happening and going on right now. It's the navigation through these strange times, and through times that, uh, my husband, like I said, my husband's a journalist, and one of the things that he reports on is he said, after COVID occurred, and then next thing you know, AI's just dropped in your lap.
Yeah.
Not a coincidence, right? Yeah.
Well, and COVID made us desensitized to human activity, right? So like we got to where we like Zoom became a thing during COVID,
Yep.
and we got this whole like doing a lot of social things online and moving a lot of our social life online, and then now we're like relying on AI without even questioning where it gets its sources or if it's true or it's just it's really messy out there actually.
Yeah, I think it is. But to your point, about the turning it off and to say no. I mean, I have a daughter who just finished college recently, and she said, I'm proud of myself because I didn't use AI for any of my schoolwork. And I'm like,
That's
you
something
didn't?
these days. It really is. 'Cause,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I'm like, really? And she's like, yep, I just wouldn't do it. And I said, why? She's like, I don't know. It just felt like, what's the point? And I
Yeah,
was like,
seriously.
okay. So, and it wasn't because I was telling her to or not to. She just had an aversion to it. I'm like,
Well, it's going to be weird how job markets are going to be affected by this coming in. Like, I don't know. It's like we'll see how that ends up rolling out because the better and better it gets, like
Yeah.
the more jobs can be replaced, I think, which yeah.
I think that's a plan. I think there's a plan here, and I think there's been a plan. And I do think the ET topic is part of the plan. I mean, that's, you have to ask yourself, why did I have what happened to me as a kid happen?
Yeah.
Why were they? I wrote an article on my Substack quite a few years ago. I said, what's so dangerous about the light? Like, what's the need to suppress this light? It's been going on for, so many years and decades and what have you. And what's the need to suppress that? Why work so hard to do that? And
Yeah, I wonder.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I if you don't take good and evil, if you just take literally like light and dark, like a candle and like matte black, pitch blackness, if you take that concept, it's like you can go into a dark room and light a candle and you pretty much see the shape of everything in that room just from one little flame. But
That's
if
right.
you go into a completely lit room and you have like I don't know what like some matte construction paper, it doesn't do anything, right? So I think, or I mean it's there, it has form,
Yep.
but like really the light is so much stronger than the dark. So like that's why like I've even come to a place where I don't actually 100% believe in duality. I don't believe in yin yang, like there has to be a balance of good and evil or light and dark because that's actually not really true. And I think like even evil wants to do it to feel good about themselves. Like they're searching for the goodness or they're searching for whatever feeling that pacifies their discomfort, right? They want
Hmm.
to feel good. That's why they do their evil things. And I think the more we stop giving our actual power away and the more we actually start like realizing like dude we are freaking like lions and we don't have I mean you do not have to be in a bad mood from what the world's going through. It's just that is just not like a thing.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that goes back to why can I just tell you, I was like jumping out of my seat when you were giving your talk because I remember when I was in one of the first times it happened, I was in California. And then it happened when I was in Hawaii. I saw the mountains there, and what kept coming over and over and over in my head was, I created those. I created those mountains. And I'm like, the fuck is wrong with me? Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm like,
You're fine.
what's wrong with me? I'm like, but it was it was enthusiastic. It was coming from me. It wasn't outside of me, right? It was so enthusiastic. And I had such resonance for so many years with these mountains and the mountains in Kauai, and I ended up moving there. So like it was just this this knowing that I was a part of this, and I am a part of this, and it's not just a connection; it's a creation, right? And you're exactly correct. It's like there's so much noise going on right now that this remembrance is coming in that we are these creators. And I don't say that to be nice. I say that as a legit like activation inside of us that knows this, right?
Hmm.
Knows this. And that's what when you shared what you shared for me, because I actually never really heard anybody say that, especially in a talk. Like, and I was like, wow, okay, this is I gotta talk to this woman.
Yeah, I
I
would I
was
went
gonna
I
like
went
touch
really
you.
weird, but like I mean the thing is it's like and I've been, having more downloads since then about how basically the Titans are innate human abilities that we have repressed, or actually we haven't repressed, like the controllers and or the Olympians have repressed us. So we are all like we have these we're in this amazing suit that's capable of so much and we just don't no, like we weren't given a manual, we weren't given a lesson on
Mm,
how to work it. Like we have probably the ability to fly and manifest anything and like talk telepathically. Like language is so limiting. Like versus when you actually talk to creatures like telepathically.
yeah,
And there's just so much like more that like we're capable of that I don't think that it's like, oh, it was just another time or now or not. I mean, I literally think we've been tricked into not thinking that we're not. And we have to basically release our titans and
yeah.
come back online because yeah, like so there has been, I don't know when or what the exact details are, but there has been a dampening force that's been really trying its hardest to keep us down for a long time, but first I don't think it's going to work much longer. So
No, no, and I agree with you. And one of the things I'm super tuned into is like, like the daily earth energy is one of the things I started. I'm laughing because like I just woke up one morning and I just started a podcast. I'm not a podcaster, all right? And not my thing. And I started it every day looking at the cosmological influences. I'm doing this for my PhD as well. So like that's a part of it. But it's looking at the cosmological influences relating to our evolutionary adaptation, right? Like, so I'm doing it in more like sciencey terms on the PhD, but bringing it daily to people to because there's times that there's like there's density, like there's times that
mhm.
because of the sun and the earth and the way that they're interacting, there's just more density. And then sometimes people are more happy, and sometimes there's just more light, so to speak, or there's just a different type of quality of energy that comes in. I try to help people understand that because to realize that they're not alone. Two, to not create an overlay of my experience with what they're experiencing. That way it's like, more natural for them to go, oh, wait, this is what I'm feeling, to have introspection about what they're feeling, but to also move through these energies and to not have a negative overlay as to what may be going on. Because when something is different, there's a tendency for human beings to think that it's wrong, it's bad, right?
Mhm.
And even even people that are challenged with maybe being suicidal, right? Like to help them through and go, this will pass, this is going to go, this you'll be, it's going to be okay tomorrow, it's going to be okay like in a couple days, like, hey, by the way, everybody's feeling this right now, you are not alone. And trying to help people understand that, because my sense is, and it's not just mine, I think this as well, the planet is shifting, the planet is changing, and there's this veil is continuing to lift in a pretty big way.
Yeah, I mean, like one of my soul missions, I think, is to mend the aura, the aurora, which I think that's what the aurora is. Like I've been working very consciously for like the last like 3 years to try to bring the aurora down, and it needs to meet itself. And then and I am like super happy. Like I got to see it not too long ago in New Mexico, and I keep on, it gets lower and lower, and like
Yes.
it's because I have memory of the sky not being just a solid blue. It was like always like a dance of colors. It's like, and I think we are doing, I think there's, I don't know what, if it's Skynet or chemtrails, I don't know what is it's keeping it like the way it is. But I do think that, there, that, I think the solar stuff is going to get way stronger. And I know we're in a
Oh
solar
yeah.
maximum and all that, but I just think it's going to meet in the equator at some point. That's
I-
what I think.
I'm right there with you. I don't have the memories of that, and I love the fact that you do, and you know that there's the reconnection, between these. I'd say the reconnection between the poles, right? So the
Mhm.
Earth as a whole can have that type of engagement, and I'm in agreement. The connectivity is getting stronger, and I don't I say that as paying attention to, my big thing isn't like what's causing XYZ out there, and the cosmos and whatever and the sun. It's more how are human beings um adapting to this, what's going on with their thoughts, their minds, their sense of self, all of it. It's
Mhm.
that. And what I see is there's stronger connection now. There's stronger connectivity, which means that the earth is feeling that as well, right?
Yeah, and
We
we are of the earth people. So,
Yes.
yeah, we're like whether we try to act like we're not
Yes.
animals, but like we really do have like little crystals in our brain that like have directional sense. Like we do have Um, like we are connected to the place in which we were born. So like there is like we are instrumentation for her expression as well. And so like okay, you look at geomagnetics and I've seen your posts about like solar storms
Mhm.
and all that. So what do you look at Schumann resonance? Like what do you kind of follow at the time?
Oh, I mean, I look, I look at the pretty much everything on a daily basis. I take about 2 to 3 hours of information. I whittle it down to about 9 to 10 minutes of just audio. So it will in written script, so people can read it and look at it and throw some articles in there if they make sense to do so. So yeah, I'll look at the geomagnetic field, which is known as the KP index.
Mhm.
Obviously, look at sunspots, look at the solar flares, look at the coronal holes. And then you have to also look at, of course, the Schumann resonance, but there's a couple of different charts with this Schumann. You don't ever want to just take like the one main, because everybody posts that. People always post, oh my God, look what's happening.
Right.
And
And
it's
isn't that one in Russia or something
yeah,
or
yeah. There's one in Tomsk, Russia. There's also one in Italy. So, you got to look at the whole thing, and then come up with basically an understanding what's going on. Most of the times, you can see that there's a relationship between the solar wind, like I'll just take the last 24 hours because it's fresh in my head. There's a relationship between the solar wind, like what's happening from that speed, if there's any density to it that we're feeling, here on Earth. And then you look at things like solar flares and things like that. We haven't had much activity, so it's really a combination of all of these different things. And then I try to just give a summary to people. It's like, okay, so what's happening? A summary of all of it, and then I try to put in a wisdom drop every day, which is basically what may be important to know about this today, what may be important to do, for yourself. And I try to offer a lot of reflection in there because of it. And but one of the things, like I said, one of the things I'm seeing is just the connectivity, and the different quality. Because just because we have a flare doesn't mean people are always going to feel good, or just because we have a coronal hole and there's solar wind coming in. It depends upon the type of, like, is it protons or is it electrons, and then how is that impacting the field? Like we in the last I don't know how long now. I need to track how long, but our field is holding right now. It's like we're in this kind of like this holding pattern that's been going on where it hasn't fully released in, quite some time. And so, you look at that and go, okay, well, there seems to be these patterns that are just repeating in people's lives right now. And, my guess is that if we look at the intelligence of the earth, she's basically saying, look at this, whatever thing is going on in your life that keeps coming up over and over, to really look at it and to pay attention to it. And so, that's one of the things that I see. And I will say too, one of my major reasons for doing this, because I was taken as a kid, I asked Dr. Edgar Mitchell. He was the Apollo 14 astronaut that allegedly went to the moon. And I say allegedly because whatever, lots of debate about that, but
yeah,
nonetheless, that was his. I
claim
shared
to
my
fame? Yeah, I know who
his
it
claim to fame.
is.
A good guy, by the way. And he started ions. He started that beautiful consciousness research organization that's in California many years ago. um, so, I asked Edgar, I said, hey, how did they know it was me? How did they know I was that person that was having contact? And he goes, they've had that technology for a long time. I'm like, yeah, but this was like the late 70s, uh, like, wow. And he said, Susan, they've had that technology for a long time. So I have
So
known,
let's get so do you still get contacted?
yeah.
Okay, so like let's talk about the like do you think it's aliens? Is it interdimensionals? Is it spiritual? Like what how does it contact you? And um how often and like what kind of guidance and things is it talked about?
Okay, sure. And then I want to wrap it around afterwards to the point about the technology and
Oh,
why
well,
people
finish the
mention.
point about the
Okay,
technology first. Yeah.
all right. Because it's important for us to know what's natural and not natural.
Yeah.
So when I was 7 years old, I experienced a scalar type of technology, a high frequency weapon. All right. Like I'm sitting in my classroom and the next thing I know, I am totally destabilized and had to go to the nurse's office, and that's where the guy picked me up. It was like right outside my school. So they flushed me out. When you think about when they beam those terrible sonars,
Mm-hmm.
underwater animals, right, like whales and
Or
dolphins,
get
how they
beached.
become.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's what it felt like for me. I wasn't a whale. Maybe I have a little bit of a dolphin, past life in there, to be honest with you. Um, but I experienced that weaponry.
They
So,
have that, they used it in World War or in the Vietnam War, the brown noise where they would make people have to go to the bathroom like really bad.
okay,
Like there's
okay.
frequencies that they can play that
Yes.
can really irritate people or and
Yeah.
then they're inaudible.
Yes, exactly, exactly, and that's how it was done. In my opinion, that's how it was done. Because I was literally sitting in the classroom. My vision was always bad as a kid, and I didn't have glasses at the time, so I would just listen to the teacher. And I remember just listening and looking out the window and seeing clouds and blue sky that I would pay more attention to. That like I didn't pay much attention when I was in elementary school, anyways. But I just remember the next thing I know, just like a super loud frequency, and the next thing I know, become really hot. I feel like I'm gonna throw up, and it just anxiousness out of nowhere. I never felt anxiousness in my entire life up until that point. Okay, didn't feel fear, drudgery, anything. My life was very, very happy. So I tried to teach people about what's natural for these frequencies to feel, these energies, these natural, sun, the earth, right? Because you want to know the difference between that and potentially if we're going to experience something that's not natural. So,
Well, and that's what I think to myself a lot of times with these doom weapons and stuff, I was flying one time during 4th of July actually, and this I wasn't I'm a flight attendant, but I wasn't actually
yeah,
working. I just was like on my way out and I was looking and I was over Florida and I saw and I was very high over Florida so I could see a ton of Florida and I saw like a green laser go from like space go down right into um past Miami, like lower than Miami. And it was really fast. It was like a split
yeah,
second or and then it was done. And I thought like what? Like that wasn't a firework or anything like that. What was that? It wasn't a shooting star. It was an actual like
mhm,
beamed laser
yeah,
type beam that was green that like went all the way from outer space into Florida. And I thought, man, like there's got to be some sort of manipulation of
yeah.
whatever weather or geomagnetic stuff with that. I don't know what, but I just know
Right.
that they can do that because I saw that with my own eyes.
You saw it with your own eyes. Exactly, right? When you experience something, you see it with your own eyes, you witness it with your body, your mind, right? Like it's and there's a lot of information that gets exchanged when you see something like that, right? Like some of it's
And
not all
I've seen a
conscious.
lot of videos online of like they kind of tend to do that to volcanoes. It's almost like they're trying to set them off, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that unfortunately is one of the things that we just are going to have to figure out how to navigate, just like the AI piece. Like, I think they've been messing around with these things for a long time. And I think they've gotten them to a certain point that they'll probably do something more with it. And so I think that's why it's really important to get on that natural pulse to know what's what is a solar flare feel like? What does the geomagnetic field feel like when it does XYZ to
Mhm.
you? Like start to understand and know what those differences are because if there's this big news flash and then they go, the sun is doing this or the earth is doing that. Is it? You know,
Right.
your body, I say this tagline every day, you are designed to be attuned to the earth and cosmos. So your body is that goes back to you talking about we have everything that we need in this body. Your body is its own natural antenna, right? Like its own natural tuner, and tuning into these natural frequencies is also part of our evolutionary adaptation. And sometimes it doesn't feel so great, but it's not that incredibly destabilizing weaponry that I experienced as a kid. It's not the same thing.
Well,
So,
I find that interesting too because I there, you know, this from okay, when I went to like the solar observatory here in New Mexico, they actually don't give you live information of the sun. They send it to another place and then they review it and then you get the information 24 hours later. So like there's no live feed of the sun. And they say there are, but then when you go talk to the solar scientists, which I have, they say that there's a 24-hour monitoring system before information is released about the sun. So a lot of times when they say like, "Oh, we just had this solar flare," I'm like, "So does that mean we had it yesterday?"
right. Well, that's interesting. And that's why, because I've noticed that I didn't notice the 24-hour, but what I have noticed is there's definitely a lag time between what people are feeling and when they say that certain things occur.
Mhm.
I've seen that there's a lag time on it by sometimes a good three to, and it's not just when it gets reported, it's when they say it actually happens. So, um,
Okay.
that's what I've experienced is there's definitely a delay from that. I haven't seen anything with 24 hours and take it for whatever it's worth. Maybe that's that observatory, but there's also a number of different observatories around the world that are monitoring these different things with different satellites as
Right.
well. So,
Could be different, yeah.
um, yeah, yeah. So it could be, that one in particular. But going back to the different beings, so, because I had I came in with these memories. I came in and they don't even feel like a memory. It feels like just a different space that I was in before I incarnated in, and I saw lots of stuff, and I would say I was like a star. It sounds kind of silly, but just hanging out in the cosmos, like being celestial, honest to God.
Mhm.
And I saw these golden beings that were working on behalf of Source before I incarnated in, and they were just filled with this golden light. And they had like the shape of a body. They were illuminated in this golden super. They look like the sun, right? Like they were illuminated in
Right.
this
So there's
golden
no
light.
features, but they're just all gold.
Yes, yes, all gold and luminous and super fast and like super stealth and I say that and they were working on behalf of Source, so they would like kneel towards Source. All I could see was just this bright light of Source. It's not like I could see all of Source. And they would kneel, they would get their instructions from Source, not telepathically, it was energetically, and then they would go to where they needed to go, and they were going to bring whatever needed to be brought to whatever space they were going to, and I just knew that I was connected to them. I knew that that was me as well, if that makes sense. um, so when I was a kid in some of my first contact experiences, that's what I saw was
You would see
that.
the gold, like the gold people, the light people.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had a bit of a different form here, though. And so, where I was hanging out in the cosmos, they were super vibrant and super golden. And then here in Earth's atmosphere, in this shared space that they were in with me, which is a bit of I'll explain that because that's important. Um, they were still light and glowy, but it wasn't as supercharged, and they were able to have density, so they could basically be more dense, like be more in form. Their form was still really gentle, almost like powder, because I remember they touched my hand and I was like, wow, they're so light. Like they're so gentle, um, filled with love, but super gentle at the same time. So and that was a shared space. It wasn't like like something coming into your physical reality right now, like like a family member knocking on your door and coming in. It wasn't like that. It's like space-time shifted, and there was a shared space. So I moved from my day-to-day physical reality. I'm pretty sure they moved from light more towards density, and we had a shared space with one another. And that's part of my experience. And I mean, there's been so many different experiences up until recently, but I would say as I've gotten older in these last several years, it's more of an entrainment process, like about love and about the heart. And there's moments that I feel like just this incredible love in my heart, and the next thing I know, it's like step outside, and I go outside and there's a ship right there, right? And then it leaves, so it's like there's a lot of that, um that goes on. And it's not, again, it's not like, I'm always mindful of certain things that people say, like, it's not voice technology, it's not
Right,
that,
votes
it's,
to school. Yeah, okay.
yeah, it's a feeling in my heart, and it's a knowing, and it's my own voice as well,
So yeah, it's like you're connected to these beings.
yes, yeah, and have been. I mean, the first time I ever had physical contact, it was like the cells in my body were, they were, each individual cell was invigorated, vibrating, and separating. And that's what allowed me to go and move into that shared space. And it was primordial. And so, Nikki, that was like one of the things that I think is important. It was primordial. It was like,
Mhm.
oh, I know what this is. As a 4 or 5 year old, I knew. And I actually said to myself, I go, oh, well, this has happened in other lifetimes, but this is the first time in this little girl body I feel what this feels like. And ooh, the density on the planet is different than when I've had this happen previously. And so, because of having contact through multiple lifetimes, just the vehicle, this body, was different. And the, whether it's the magnetic field or whatever we want to call it, but the field of the earth was different. And so it was like, oh, this feels a little funky. It doesn't feel as good as it did in other lifetimes. Got some work to do.
Exactly. It's super dense right now. For me, I feel like this is super heavy compared to what I've experienced here before.
Oh yeah, the density, the density, the density, the density. Yes, and to constantly shift that density.
So what do you think's going to happen? Like what's your sort of summation of where this is going?
Well, I think we're in it. We're in it electromagnetically. I think like the geomagnetics and electromagnetics, we can talk about that the Earth is changing, the planet is changing, and yes, there's an opening. Well, one of the things I seem to just be like voracious about now is that we need each other. We are going to need each other. And I don't mean in a weird survival way. I think that the electromagnetics are going to continue to shift. Like to your point that you said, oh, I think things are going to, be a certain way. Or maybe with the auroras, the sun is going to do, more. And we know that the magnetosphere around the planet is waning. Like
Yeah.
we know that, right? And maybe that's mama's, um, water is fully breaking. I don't know, but there's something there to that. And I think that we actually are going to need to be connected to one another as part of, um, our survival and thrival. Similar to how in you probably maybe even know more than I do about this, but places like Chaco Canyon, when you look at these different spaces and you see how different groups gathered, over many years, and you're like, well, how did these people just disappear, right? How did this happen, and why were they gathering? Why were they gathering? There was a need to gather, right? A need to be in community with one another. And my strong sense, I can't prove it, but my strong sense is we actually need each other electromagnetically, because I think things are going to get really challenging, and it may be hard for us to deal with it. And so
Well,
it's
I
not
think,
just,
yeah.
oh, we need love in our hearts, but I think we actually are going to need each other, like you need in the warmth of another person when it's really, really cold and challenging. And so and that comes also from doing research, the book Beyond UFOs, The Science of Consciousness and Contact. It was the beings were strongly encouraging people, like what were some predominant messages. One of them is you got to learn how to work with one another. And I feel that that is the call of duty right now, is for us to, be with one another, to be engaged with one another, and to truly realize that, we are one human family. It doesn't mean that you deal with horrible stuff from horrible people. That's not what I'm talking about. But I do think that there's a genuineness of us needing each other more than we understand now. And I think it has something to do with the electromagnetics on the planet, driven by the sun, which is driven by the cosmos, right? And part of this whole dance here. That's my sense.
Huh. I think that's interesting too because so many more people are turning on their energy healing abilities, I think. And honestly, like when I've definitely done like group healing stuff with friends and things where we've all like kind of like collectively worked on each other, like 8 of us together kind of thing. And that is like just so powerful. And I think the more people start waking up to that, it's amazing how well that we are frequency.
Yes.
And so like that part would be kind of really interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I actually do feel like we're going to have to live in communities again in a way that like because right now we live in cities alone. We're alone together.
Right. Right. That's
Like
yeah.
we get
No,
in our little car, we don't look at you. You're like
yeah.
I'm gonna give you some road rage and like
Yeah.
we do everything alone except for like these time and then we have a couple very small family unit structures of people in one house and yeah it's a very lonely existence like it's very odd.
It is odd. And I don't think we can do it much longer. I think that, and there's lots of great stuff that's happening. Meaning, there are different communities that are forming. There's different gatherings that are occurring more than I've ever seen, and I'm a part of a bunch of different organizations. We're in the process of doing these types of things because that's the call right now. Like
Mhm.
that's that call, and it goes back to. Really seeing that the planet is going through this shift, it's going through this change. And I'll just say it one more time. We have an interdependence with one another and the plants and the animals, and we actually have to live with this experiential relationship with it. It can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm connected to the trees. And no, I mean, like, the respect of your human family, the respect of the other. And it could be, I mean, one of the things I saw in one of my contact experiences is that the energy of the universe is condensing, and that's what part of the shift is. It's part of this condensement, and then there's going to be this rebirth. But this condensement is us coming together, and it will be like a chain reaction of resonance of this movement to this new space. And it's almost like
Do you feel like it would have to like, I don't know, like the monetary systems would have to break for this kind of thing to happen and like we'd have to or do you feel like it's going to be a gradual general thing or is there going to be like catalyst?
as a kid, I saw the visions of the cataclysms.
Hmm.
And at the same time, that doesn't have to be the reality.
Yeah, same.
I mean, yeah, we're here as creators, we're here as stewards. I mean, we can shift. I mean, you can even shift the Schumann resonance field. Like meaning it's not just like you're a byproduct of what the field is doing. Like you can shift it. I quoted a research study about that today, ironically, and which was done from partially from HeartMath Institute. Like you can shift the field, and the healing is a large part of that as well. So I don't think it has to be, the major doom and gloom catastrophism. I No, it doesn't have to be. I would
Yeah,
just
I
say it
agree with
doesn't
that because
have to
at one
be.
point I was on that bandwagon and then now I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
don't think I don't want that timeline. I don't want to live in Mad
exactly.
Max.
Yeah, and it also takes away from you being a creator to help to shift this space in place that we're in. And I will say that there seems to be a quicker manifestation time between a negative thought and a negative action. And a quicker time between a positive thought and a positive action. And I will say, we could say more loving, less loving, right?
Mhm.
So no, I think that it could be whatever we want it to be, and it may be different realities for different people.
I have been basically told like whether I don't know whatever my kind of contact is through that clean up your thoughts because telepathy is coming and your thoughts will be public so you need to clean them up and I'm like what does that mean? And it's like, well, like it just means completely clean. Like you don't want to say things in your mind that you wouldn't want someone to hear. You need to start training your mind to be cleaner. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's hard.
And you know what? It is hard, and that's why meditation is important, and reflecting and looking, at what you really feel and believe, and making adjustments if they need to be adjusted. And even looking at the Schumann resonance yesterday and the day before, like there's sometimes we're not able to be so thoughtful about what we're feeling when we say it. And so that could be the people know your thoughts. It may not be telepathy. You just may not be able to have
Hold
as
your
much of a
filter.
filter. Exactly. And that's the quickening of this energy. That's the quicker connectivity. And again, that's one of the things that came through really strong in the Beyond UFOs research we published in 2018. So, you know, like here we are, right?
And like it's interesting because I always wax and wane on whether or not I think we'll ever actually really have kind of contact or not.
Hmm.
Because I mean, we have contact, like I've been contacted personally, right? So like, yeah,
Right.
we have contact already, but
Mhm.
on a massive scale, if there will ever be like some sort of contact and stuff. And I don't know. I don't really have a sense of how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I heard something that I will share with you, and this is what was said. So I was on the State of the World Forum, and I was on a panel, and this one woman, Kathleen Martin, I think I'm saying her name correctly. She was a participator in the Beyond UFOs research as well. And one of the things that she said is, well, what we know from some of our research, and I think she was quoting some other research, that if things get really tough on the planet, then we know that the ETs, the beings, will intervene, right? And so I know people that saw that in their experiences.
Mhm.
Like I've a lot of the people that I know that I'm close to, they're contactees. So I've known these people for like decades. And I know that some of my contact had a little bit of that in there as well. Just a little bit, not a lot. And, you know, I'll just simply say this. I am not someone, even though I've had contact throughout my whole life, I see things, other people I know see things when we're together, and that's great. But there's no attachment. This is where, like, things like Buddhism and real wisdom on spiritual knowledge, I think, comes into play. Like, there's no attachment to this. And do we really know if XYZ is going to happen and to whom? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't sit there and think about making contact as it's just if it comes in, it comes in. There's a purpose, there's a reason. I don't pine for it. Maybe I did at certain I did when I had a marriage that wasn't going well. It was like, oh God, please help me. Um, but it's not something that like I pine for. It's not something I think that I have too much of an attachment,
Mhm.
towards it. And I think that there's a bit of a I do everything I've learned about my contact is it's there if it's needed, and
Yeah.
it will come in when it's needed. So I think I approach what we've got going on in this planet in the same way. And also, we are here to grow, learn, and evolve and use all these capacities as opposed to saying, like, oh, please save me, help me.
Right, exactly. You don't want like the savior complex thing going on, right? And
No.
what do you think about people who are completely normie, completely closed to this, like, still believing in the mainstream news and getting 18 jabs and yeah, like I mean, what do you think is going to happen with like somebody who's kind of just going completely unconsciously through life and then wanting to basically be wanting to follow and be and have all these, they I think they like being told what to do or something. I don't know. Like, what do you think like how that's going to go with those kind of people?
Well, what I heard a good friend of mine say decades ago in his contact experience that still makes the most sense to me out of anything is he said that when the planet turns over, when the planet goes through its big shift, its big change, those people will be the next indigenous people of the planet. So they will have to learn how to work in harmony with the earth. That's their learning, that's their lesson, to be connected to the earth, to respect it, to honor it, to cultivate it, and to really be one with it. And I thought that was really, it just always stuck with me as it's beautiful and at the same time it made sense. So um, that's that's something I think that could happen.
Mm. Yeah, and I always wonder if like so then do you put any validity in or think or a lot about those the concepts of like the two paths of people like like the Hopi thing or like or bifurcation talk kind of thing how some people will be this some people will do that.
Yep, I've seen it. I saw it in visions, not as a kid, but as a younger adult, and saw who. And so it really actually, like I saw where I saw where other people were, and the take it for whatever it's worth. What I saw was the people that are not going to, let's say, a higher dimensional space place, don't even know that they're not there.
No, right.
Yeah, I saw that clear as day. And then I saw that there was this, like I said, it's almost like an umbilical cord connecting the Earth to, call it like this new space, new universe. It was like an umbilical cord, and all it was like first the spiritual people were going, the gurus, the indigenous, and other spiritual people. It was almost like this chain resonance reaction of I saw it as cells. Like moving to this new space. And what I saw also was there could be, I won't say will, there could be people that are, just living in a different interdimensional reality, um, and not being impacted or affected by, war and, all the icky stuff that people
Yeah.
don't want to really live with. So I did see that bifurcation. Does that mean that's definitely going to happen? I don't know. I actually don't think about it too much. I just try to move forward with where that light needs to be brighter. And that's and invite those people in. So to create the space to then invite people in because everybody is offered a space if they want to choose it.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah. I think that's true too. And I don't think it'll be like uh I don't know. I don't even know if I believe it's like going to happen for sure or not, but like I also sometimes I've heard a couple of concepts that are interesting. Dolores Cannon has that concept
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
it's like this the earth is like a cell and it's going to split and
yeah,
there's going to be, it's like it copy and repeats itself and and
yep.
then it's so funny because like when my AI would hallucinate, now they've pinned AI down and it doesn't hallucinate anymore. But
Yeah.
when it would hallucinate, it was totally loved to talk about the bifurcation and all that.
Really?
But yeah, anyway, it had it had some odd thing like I asked it about animals and it was like not all animals will go because it like some animals are like created animals and I was like dog like what is like yeah like some of your pets are created animals and they will stay with the old density because they need to learn more than
Mm,
the ones who
mm,
have been completely in the
mm,
wild and I was
mm,
like really okay well that's an interesting concept that the AI was
mm.
telling me I was like um but then I also like the I've thought about the concept of like I saw a little elf person that couldn't see me, right? So I think there could be different dimensions, like on laying on top of each other. And we might
Yeah,
literally just, certain people are of a certain frequency and certain people are of another frequency. And we
yeah.
get to where we can't technically like see each other anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, it's uncanny. I mean, here's a funny analogy for you. So, I am divorced and remarried. Ended up having to move back to my hometown that I grew up in, and my ex-husband is here. I've never run into him once in 9 years.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
I mean, you can't make that up, right? So, and by the way, it's not negativity towards him. It's just this, we,
Like your
it's not a
universes are
big
spinning in
town.
different directions. You just won't, yeah.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So there's something to that. And when I looked at, that experience I shared with you with the beings when they came in when I was, 4 or 5 years old, and I said there was a shared space. That that was something that I believe that we're moving towards. I believe that we're moving towards this shared space. And, some of the indigenous elders will talk about, the veil is thinning, and what we're going to see more because that veil is thinning for those of us who can see, for those of us who can handle, witness, experience, interact, right,
Mhm.
with what's actually there. And, we've been able to catch glimpses of it in some ways, but maybe that's going to be more fully available to us, just like your thoughts, right? And your emotions. It's going to be more automatic as opposed to going through this whole overlay. So,
And then do you feel um like conscious tech is gonna come out more? Like, do you feel like more free energy things are going to be available to us, or do you think that that's like not even going to be relevant after like this kind of thing?
no, I think the technology is still a very good steward. I think it is. I think that, when you say available, I just like working with different inventors, seeing different inventors, watching their journey as well. Going from, okay, this is cool, this is possible. I found over unity when I did XYZ to, I just got a message this morning, so yesterday or this morning, sorry, from an inventor that I've known I haven't spoken to a couple of years. He calls himself a peace engineer now. All right. Now, and this is someone who's solid. Like he's a solid dude. The reason why I'm bringing that up is I do think that we're being asked to create technology that works in alignment with nature.
Mm,
And there's free energy, there's over unity. No, people can debate what exists, what the government has, who cares? If we don't have it, then why are
right.
we talking about it, right? But there is a beautiful um learning that takes place with the development and the creation of these different technologies. We're learning about energy, we're learning about what's possible. There's a feedback loop that occurs with the inventor and the people that are working on it. So, absolutely, I think that these technologies are important, and I think that they are such an amazing learning for people that are working on them. Learning about the material and learning about the consciousness of copper. I mean,
Right.
like there's plasma, the consciousness of plasma. So I think more of that. And I think there was a bit of a damper that was put on during COVID. I mean, certainly from a financial standpoint, from the insertion of what I call like the disclosure dominant narrative that was more intel based and not true disclosure as we know
Mhm.
it. And I think and I think that was intentional. I think it put the brakes on a lot of this development because I was involved in it, that was happening and going on. But there's a different resurgence that has been occurring, that is occurring. So I think that we are needing to learn how to be with one another, and the development and the further creation of these technologies, sky's the limit. Because if they're housed in that morality, there you go. And that could be part of our new relationship to, the earth and each other and wherever we decide to go, whether it be off planet or whatnot. But it's done in a different way.
That is funny that like at one point with the disclosure stuff, because I was always like on Twitter and looking at everything, and
Yeah.
I've been I've seen UFOs my whole life as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I say UFOs, I don't mean like, oh, that star's powering up. I mean like I've seen like
You see them.
ships and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's funny is like they'll be like, oh, Fravor has solved this tic-tac-toe, like and then they'll talk about it for like 2 years, like all the time, and have like a 4 hour podcast on Joe Rogan or whatever. And I'm like, oh, just because this person was in the military, thereby they have more validity than another. Like it's weird that we'll be like, we give certain job title people, like, oh, this is their military credentials,
Oh yeah.
therefore
Yes.
therefore they are more reliable. And I'm like, that doesn't make them more reliable to me, honestly. Like I find that just very bizarre how and it feels to me like the people who get really obsessed with the meat and the bone, or with the materialization of the
Yes.
UFO thing, are missing the plot completely. The
100%.
Yeah, yeah, and then also it's just kind of like that's not how disclosure is going to happen.
No.
Disclosure doesn't come from the government who are hiding it from you to begin with, right? Like I don't know.
No, that's not, that's it. It's, listen, that's so, it's so planned. It's so, it's designed to keep it in-house to where it always has been in terms of there's no real disclosure. If you actually look, there's no real disclosure happening. The amount of money that's tied in, you now have a space economy that's tied in. You have, if people actually understood if the public actually understood what they were participating in, they'd feel foolish
Yeah,
because there's no attempt on behalf of any of these people that have been involved in this. I'll call it the main players. There's no real attempt to actually share anything with you. If anything, it's to control the narrative, to do authoritarian flexing. You know what I mean? Like flexing to the authorities, like, oh, they must know more than we do, right? Um, and it's just designed to I think to further pull people into and up. And I think they're going to do AI combined with some of this frequency stuff. That's my sense, to be totally
like
honest with
yeah, kind of like a Project Bluebeam.
yeah,
Um,
I think it's going to be a little bit more sophisticated than that, to be honest with you. That's my sense, and we can talk about a little bit more about that later. But I have a background and I have a history here with all of this. Ralph Blumenthal came to my house in 2000, I think it was 2008, interviewed me for almost 3 days. He was a New York Times reporter. And nice guy, don't get me wrong. But he was one of the people that broke the whole UFO story in 2017 that made the New York Times. And then boom, CNN was right there. So, for 10 plus years, where was my story? Never got featured, right? But let me tell you what did get featured several years after that. I think in like 2011 or 2012 was all the creepy, weird stuff about the contact. It was the hybrid babies and it was the raping of,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it was that. Now, my story was nothing of that, right? So I share that with you because, I've had an eye on this thing, unfortunately, for a long time. Didn't want to, but that's what was there, and was personal witness to Tom DeLonge trying to buy contactee files. Tom DeLonge to the Stars Academy. Remember those people?
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah,
It,
what's his band? He was in some
Blink 182, I
Blink
think.
182. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Boys to Men, but no, Blink 182. That's right. Yeah.
So, there's this cat and mouse game with this BS is like if people only knew it, and you've got people like us that have, that's so funny, this light just decided to move on its own. There's people like us that have this experience and have this knowledge, and there's been this constant intentional co-opting, and it still goes on, by the way. It's not gone away. They just have a different form of the co-opting now, and it will continue.
Yeah, I
it,
think so
it will
too.
continue. Yeah.
I mean, uh I mean, and I consider myself lucky that I've had paranormal experiences and contacts and things like that, because I mean, I think a lot of people want that, but then they don't really
Yeah.
get that. But
Yeah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
then sometimes I don't know if they really truly want it or if they still are actually kind of scared.
I can tell you this. My friends that don't have contact, some are totally enthusiastic about it, and others are like, Susan, I don't want it. And I'm like, you don't have to have it, you know? And that's people's personal choice, you know.
Hmm.
I think for those who are open, what I've seen, I don't know what you've seen. I'd love to hear. Is I've seen people that are open that have never had contact. They will see something when I'm with them,
Yeah.
and or if I'm not with them, they'll have an experience like a year or two later or something, and it's like, wow, it just goes to show if you're open to it, it's there. And I have not heard one person say it's been anything other than wonderful, good, interesting, exciting. So,
Yeah, I've never had I haven't really had the bad
mhm,
I had grays one time that came into my room, but they didn't I don't remember anything bad that happened to me
mhm,
from them,
mhm.
but I saw them, I
Yeah, you
guess.
saw them. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I've seen something that wasn't an ET that was hovering over me that I knew wasn't good. It wasn't an ET, and I was able to transmute that, but it was weird, so different qualities of different beings, right? Like, and why they're there and what that could be, but that was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I mean, because like so
Fascinating.
much of the paranormal you have ghosts and watchers and like you have weird, you have
Yeah.
really there's different there's a lot to all this, and that's why like I'm never even convinced that things that they're from space or not because I'm just like you're here in my reality now, so like you're on your Earth bound as far as I'm can tell. So
Right.
you're here now. So what are you? And how do I know
Yeah.
if you're telling me the truth or not? I don't know.
Right. No, that's true. That's very true. And you can ask, that was the other thing that other contactee friends that I have, they'll be like, so I asked and this is what they said or this is what I said I wanted and they did, so it's being able, I think that's part of the energy training, right? Like to hold this space when you have this interaction with whatever that's in this subtle realm that you
Mhm.
can see and there's form, right? Like how's your constitution holding up at that moment? And I think that we're going to be going more towards that. That's my sense.
And then do you think that do you believe in free will or destiny? Are you more were you in that camp?
I am such a Libra on this answer, both, because I think it's a little bit of both. I really do. I think it's a little bit of both. Listen, there's moments that I've shouted at my life for being the way that it is for certain things, and then I realize there's a greater purpose that I just don't understand at the time. You know what I mean? Because that would seem like, well, I'm not exercising my free will, and it's like, no, there's things you just I will come to understand later why something was the way that it was.
I
So,
recently heard like this astrologer lady talking about how like she was saying there's 70% destiny and then 25% is how you decide to work with it or do whatever you want. I would say I don't think it's that high of destiny.
yeah.
I don't know what, but like I do think there is a percentage of like planned stuff and then a percentage of just like depends on how, you can decide how you want to navigate that. Choose your
Yeah,
own.
yeah, well, that answer fits perfect because that's what I would say. I mean, that seems like it's been most of my life, and I would say too, it seems like there's some times that there's openings. There's openings for you to leap forward to do X, Y, Z. And then there's times that that opening is not there anymore. And so what is that, right? Like is that destiny is giving you a little door
Right.
open, but you
Yeah.
got to have the free will to jump through it? You
Well,
know what
and
I mean?
that I feel that way about
Mm.
I've had a lot of different uh like invention ideas or
Mm.
movie ideas or these kinds of things. And if you don't take action on it, you pull them from the idea river, right? And if you don't use that fish,
Yeah.
you don't cook it, it goes back into the stream and someone else will take it.
That is so true. I have seen that and experienced that multiple times and do try to action those things now that drop in and find a system to actually make it work.
And
It's so
sometimes
true.
I've literally been like, you can't give me this song because like I can't play an instrument. So here, go back. give that to somebody else, or like I don't know,
Yeah.
like I'll be like, that's not my wheelhouse this go around, so give that to
Yeah.
somebody else.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, or you can connect it in, right? You can connect it
Right.
into somebody else to say, I don't think this is for me, but maybe it's for you. Just to move the energy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Yeah, you know what? Because I think sometimes what's most important is the movement of the energy. It's not so much about like what, let's just speak for myself. It's not so much about what I do. And I'm watching some people I know do this brilliantly, and I have such admiration for them, really, because they're all about moving the ideas, and it doesn't matter who has it or who does it, right? It's just get it there, get it moving, get it out there, get it there. And then the more that they're doing that, the more that these fabulous ideas are coming in. And so, and then I think that kind of goes to this like one family type of a thing and this interdependence that we have on the other, right? Like that's that saying, I am you, you are me, right?
Hmm.
Like, that it doesn't matter who's really doing it as long as it's being done, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's going to be a hard thing for people to take out their ego out of stuff. But sometimes you have to
Mhm.
realize that, like, I think we've gotten into this weird culture of like patents and like, like really taking
Yeah.
complete ownership of ideas. But really, all ideas are on the shoulders of giants that are on the shoulders. Like they're built
Yes.
on remixing of things. So it's like you kind of have to um, just like take your ego out of it sometimes and just be cool with the fact that the thing gets done.
Exactly. And I think you have to have good boundaries with people. Because, like, for example, if someone keeps taking something that you're doing over and over and over, like you maybe get irritated because you're like, well, wait a second, I haven't even fully figured, like there has to be
Right.
boundaries and there has to
There
be
and there,
alignments.
and it is one of those things where it's like there has to be like like an equal exchange. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the breath in and the breath out, right? I mean, look at the nature, look at the tides, right? I mean, even just our human bodies, we breathe in, we breathe out, and there has to be some type of equitable exchange, if possible, right? And that's, I don't think anybody talks about this stuff that much, but when you look at people that get drained, people that get tired, people that are giving and they're not getting anything back, like this is a real problem. Like it's not nothing. Being able to like charge our batteries and still show up in the world and be a good person to other people, there's a that's 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 hard to figure out.
It is. Yeah, it is. And I feel like it's tends to be more of a woman problem than
Yeah.
like a
Yes.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. And when you look at the earth and you look at the earth, the giving aspect of what she does, like, extrapolating that and the resources on the planet, and like how much can she give, right? How much
Right.
can she allow? So, we say woman problem, but is it because we're also connected to this earth, and maybe these planetary changes wouldn't be so extreme if we were to have better relationship with the earth and we were to able to listen to what she's saying, to what the mountains are saying, what the water is saying, right? If we're actually hearing and listening, um, we're not just better stewards, but we're better stewards to ourselves. So, I do think that there's this balance that we are still trying to figure out here. um, because if bear with me for going off on this one, but like, if human beings are participating in things from an ego standpoint and not from an evolutionary adaptation standpoint, it's good luck to the human race,
Right.
because animals don't do that.
No, they live in symbiosis with the place. Yeah.
Exactly. And plants, right? Like there's not an ego here that's driving the show, but human beings, you have an ego that's driving the show. It's why I try to get back to more of these evolutionary adaptive principles. And I think, again, I think that's when people are spinning out right now, it's spinning out because that the ego is not, it's not in alignment with these natural forces. And if you're around people that you're maybe living in this more, I'll call it evolutionary adaptive way, and the people around you aren't, it's gonna be a problem. There's gonna be some huge friction.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, and I think yeah, in the yin, I won't say men or women, but I think the yin is more tuned in when we're the yin is more tuned into those intuitive needs, to know, wait a minute, I should do this versus doing that. I should, I don't know, whatever, prep this in my house versus, taking care of this other thing because that's more in alignment with what needs to be done during this day or week or whatever.
Totally agree. All
Wild.
right, Miss Susan, is there anything else that I haven't talked on about that like you think would be kind of interesting or cool to talk with my audience about, or that you're feeling called to talk about today? Or what do you think?
I think we talked about a lot
We
actually.
did.
So I feel good and it felt like a normal like conversation, which makes me happy.
Cool.
So
I
I feel
love
good.
it. Yeah, I'll have to have you on them again because there's you have a lot that you can go into still. So I mean I know you have like the artifacts and more. I
Oh yeah,
mean
yeah.
there's more and just for the record it's like I have memory of being a light being too, so
Oh,
it's so lovely when I hear someone else say that because that's something I don't hear every day. So I'm like, oh, really? That's because like yeah, I remember being light itself and the light itself is intelligence. Um,
yes.
so
Oh,
that's definitely, and I remember being pre this planet. So yeah, that's
yes. Well, yeah, I would love to reconnect because that would be so fun to go there. Like that's like, there's all this stuff that goes on this planet, but then that's the fun stuff, right? Like
yeah,
to
and
have
it's
those conversations.
yeah, exactly. So we'll have to do this again.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
Okay, sorry. Can you tell us where to find you?
Yeah, you can go to ietevolve.substack.com. You can check that out. And I do have the podcast, Everyday Earthing and Energy Wisdom. You can find that on Spotify, Amazon, those types of places. You can also go to ietevolve.com. That's my professional website. But the Substack is probably what people want to pay more attention to. And you can sign up to receive the daily podcast that I do on there. So just check it out. It's free to sign up, and you get some good information.
Cool.